Hey everyone, welcome to Gaming in the Keats. I'm your host Chris, and we're on Dragon's Den 4, round number 1. This is a nice little, it's like a, technically it's a 2-day event, but it's really just like 2 1 days put together because some people can make Saturday and some people can only make Sunday. So I'm driving up to Nottingham, Pennsylvania, and we're doing a picnic version. That means we're playing out in the park under a pavilion with beautiful weather, um, hosted by Mark Shalone. He runs the Green Dragons gaming group. So, yeah, my first opponent is against Brian Holly's Hobbit Vampire Covenant. Brian Holly is unfortunately going to be moving away from our group. He is just an absolute fantastic hobbyist and fantastic opponent to play against. Just a lot of fun. And I have some pictures at the end, some close ups of his converted vampire army um, that are all hobbits. So, without further ado, let's get into the lists. So, if you haven't seen my list already, you can go check out the Dragon's Den list review. I talk about it in more detail. The only difference here for this particular battle is I use my free swap. No, wait, no, I don't even do that. I just use my one swap of instead of taking the random movement illusory paths, I decided to take ice and fire on the Dread Acolytes to help deal with my opponent's list. But for the rest of it, I keep everything the same. Oh no, wait, chance of redemption. Yes, that I do. I do keep chance of redemption because of the Aegis saves in my opponent's list. So yeah, I just have Foresight, chance of redemption, and stars align on the Exarch for this one. So yeah. Okay, so for my opponent's list, he's got his general vampire count, a battle line hero to help with the March bubble. This guy's pretty nasty. He's Sangreal. Um, he's got the oh gosh, he's got the reroll. No, he gets Fury. That's what it is. And with his he's an adept of shamanism. Um, so I think I can't remember exactly what my opponent did with his magic setup. If he got rid of one of the spells here for the hereditary, um, I can't quite remember unfortunately, but he does have the Eternity Gem, so he does have that. He's um, immune to multi wounds and lethal strike, which I don't have either of those things in my army. Um, but he does have I believe it's a yeah 2 up 4 ups because he's got the plate armor, shield, and then a hand weapon. So this he's pretty tanky, all things considered. He's got the True Thirst, which now this item no longer raises models. This one just gives the opponent um, Unholy Appetite if he causes a wound, which is it gives the model hatred in the second round, which is pretty cool. It's the same rule that the ghouls have. And he's got a 3+ vampiric say like heal, so that's really nice. He's got a second vampire account with he's Strigoi Ghoul Lord, also pretty nasty, with the Reaper's Harvest. So he's wounding on my courage. However, at the same time, the cool thing is I'm courage 10 if I'm within my general's discipline bubble, so I'm actually not too worried about that weapon as much. Um, and he's also got, hypnotic pendant, so he goes in the ghouls, he makes the ghoul unit have parry, which is really good. He's also got a banshee in there. We've got 34 ghouls with just a standard bear and musician. Um, we got 40 zombies and 39 zombies, a big unit of barrel guard, with shield standard, the black standard the black standard of Zagvozd. I don't know exactly how you pronounce that. Someone who's an expert at that word, please spell it out in the comments of how you phonetically how you pronounce that word. And then he's also got a musician there too to help with those reforms, right? If he needs to go wide or if he needs to go into bus formation, um, which I think makes sense. He's got a unit of great bats, 4 phantom hosts, um, 6 spectral hunters. Nothing, they're not the magic ones. They're just like a light troops unit with flaming attacks, and their strength 5 AP 4 AP 5. I can't remember. They lose one bit of AP at some point, but they're still pretty nasty if you can get them to hit. And then a Varkalak just for funsies. Alright, our pregame settings are we're on map 4, Abandoned Settlement. We got mutual encroachment as the deployment, so that means we're 6 inches up and then, 12 inches up and then 6 inches pinched in. The primary is hold the center for this one, so that means we have to have more scoring units than our opponent within 9 inches of the center at the ends of battle rounds, turns 3, 4, 5, and 6. My secondary was Enslave and Ransom, so this is the one where I have to kill a unit, or destroy a unit in close combat. However, if I'm able to destroy a unit by catching and pursuing, or when it crumbles, I actually get 2 little token points instead of 1, and so my goal is to achieve 4 token points throughout the battle. Any of my units, it doesn't have to be scoring at all, just any of my units that do accomplish that task. So I have to keep track of that. And then the secondary for VC was Demonstrate Superiority, so my opponent has to destroy 2 of my most expensive scoring units. In this case, it will be my Spears and my Obsidian Guard. So on the macro side of things, I would prefer to go second for the primary on this one. I want to be able to score at the end. And I'd prefer to go second as well, just because my opponent really doesn't have that much ranged damage. He does have the Banshee that does a little bit of screaming. He does have Swarm of Insects, and then the other missile that that wounds on your discipline. But other than those spells, there's no other like real big damage range stuff that's coming in. His list is going to be pretty compact, all things considered. He does have some light troops that can come out, but I think I can. My list has the tools to deal with those units. So my goal here is to just try and envelop my opponent, spread out, try and envelop and try and capture the flanks, and then work my way inward, and then from there I'd basically choose one of his 2 big blocks and try to eliminate it with a bunch of combo charges. Both of us have like fairly easy secondaries. However, I do think my opponent has the advantage on the primary and the secondary because he can kind of stack up his scoring units around the center, and I really have to like focus my efforts to just get rid of one of those big blocks. They're pretty tough to get rid of, and my opponent does have chaff to stop multiple counter charges. So I think my opponent does have the advantage. So it's really on me to be strategic about how I engage my opponent in combat. I do think so for the micro stuff I'm going to focus on getting his small points first, like I said earlier. So using my light troops, my range damage to pick off, say, his Spectral Hunters or his Varkalak, force him to use his chaff early, hopefully, and then go from there. And the target that I'm going to try and take out is going to be the ghouls, because they don't have a fortitude save, and if I can combo charge and surround that unit, I think I'm pretty happy about that. Ultimately, I'm probably going to try and avoid the Barrow Guard if I can, help it. And then I'm going to try and use my Manticore as well to just be really disruptive and go after some of his Aegis save units like the Spectral Hunters um, and the Spirit Hosts, if my opponent allows for that opportunity. So I have a lot more light troops. So the ability, like getting those combo charges in general, for vampires, like now that you stack flanks and rears, you can those that static resolution starts to really add up. Um, so I don't mind engaging all of my small units if it's in a combined combat, really, which is very Dread Elfy, right? That's what the army's designed to do, theoretically. So yeah, like I said, it's an estimation as a yellow, but it can, of course, be a bit swingy if I get outground by my opponent's list. So I think I won this. I won the roll off to choose sides, I believe. So I sent my opponent here. Oh, something I forgot to mention actually is that I think you can vanguard a scoring unit wholly within your half as long as it's completely within um, a terrain feature such as the ruins, forest, or field. So you'll see in a second, as you can already see in the picture, what he did. But so, and the map is a little wrong. I think we have this field in the wrong direction. I also have to put a disclaimer here. It was very, very windy at this event the whole time. So you'll be seeing probably like throughout these battle reports, like our cases off to the side. Some of our models have to come off their bases because they can get caught by the wind very easily. You'll start to see rocks actually on the table to hold down the mat. So just as a heads up for future reference. Um, but yeah, so from my left to right, I have some Corsairs out on the flank. My knights have vanguarded up. Again, I'm trying to just like I'm feinting, sort of like, if I know my opponent has the first turn, he dropped for first. So if he chooses to come any more forward with the barrel guard, I'm sort of feinting a charge into their flank. It's probably not a good idea, but I'm at least like presenting that as an option. So we got the 6 knights with the Orlane, 24 Obsidian Guard, with Banner of Speed, the big unit of spears with the altar, and my Exarch in there. She's right here. Some vanguarded, oh gosh, Shadow Riders, just coming up through here. I'm really trying to stay outside of charge range of the Spectral Hunters right here, so I've done that. The Manticore, a unit of knights 3x3, just so I can fit through this terrain a bit more comfortably at the moment, and just kind of be threatening the center more. And second unit of Corsairs, we got some acolytes on the far side, and some black cloaks off to the side. Now these black cloaks are the Sisters of no, what are they called? The Queen's Guard models that I've just about finished painting up for my friend's army, Highborn Elf army. So I brought them with me just because he couldn't be at this event, so they're here in spirit for him. So speaking of which, we got some Spectral Hunters over here. We got a Vanguarded Varkalak facing out this way. He cannot charge me turn 1, so I'm fine with this because I've already Vanguarded these Black Cloaks. We got the Ghouls with his Ghoul Lord. We got the Barrow Guard who've done their deployment wholly within a ruins with his. Now, granted, his character has to join the zombies first, so then in his turn 1, he'll march them out and join this unit here. We got Great Bats, we got the Spirit Hosts, then we got a final unit of zombies out on this side. Okay, so my opponent's turn 1, he angles out the Spectral Hunters on this side to kind of cover the Black Cloaks. The Varkalak doesn't move, it looks like. I guess he just didn't want it to be taken off by a bunch of Corsairs and poison shooting, and also the charge by the Acolytes, maybe. I don't know, so the Varkalak can't really go anywhere, which I'm happy about. Ghouls move up to join the Bear Guard. The vampire comes out and joins the Bear Guard as well. Bats right behind to get ready to chaff. Oh, and he's got his banshee right here with the spirit hosts, which is pretty cool. Or whatever they're called. Yeah, is that spirit hosts? Yeah, I think so. And then he just marched up his zombies right here, just trying to get in the way of the knights. So in the magic phase, my opponent forces through a swarm of insects on the obsidian guard. He kills a couple models here, and then I stop the other missile on the knights because I had nothing. It was a small magic phase, so there's nothing else to try and stop. Okay, so my turn one. I back up the knights here on the left side, so there's no charges. Just staying right outside of the charge range of the zombies. I don't want to give him that. In case he just, I just don't want to do that yet. The Corsairs move out to the flank. I do make a little mistake with them, and you'll see what my opponent does to punish me for that. But the Corsairs come out to the side. Obsidian Guard move up. Spears move up, starting to potentially get within 9 inches of the objective, and same with the knights. The knights kind of move up right here. I am able to squeak through with all the light troops and reforms to get into this position here with the Shadow Riders, and luckily, because my opponent turned his Spectral Hunters out to face the Black Cloaks, he left a nice little space for me to sneak in here, and the Varkalak cannot see them, the Ghouls cannot see them. However, the Ghouls do have a Musician, so this unit is now, I can only move 9 inches right now with this unit, but I might just use them to lock a unit in place as my form of chaff. Their chaffing maneuver, I would say. As you can see here, the Varkalak cannot see the Corsairs. Corsairs are outside of 18 here, I believe. Or maybe if they're not, it's a long charge, but it's also to draw out a charge. I can easily flee that with the Manticore if I so choose. Or do a stand and shoot here. The Black Cloaks move up to get within 12 to do a stand and shoot as well, and stand and shoot here. My goal here with the Black Cloaks is I've left it so there's no potential overruns if he charges the Varkalak or the Spectral Hunters into the Black Cloaks and hit my Acolytes. The Acolytes can still see and try and missile the Varkalak, and the Manticore is here ready to countercharge along with the Acolytes. So if my opponent does choose to charge this unit of Black Cloaks, my decision is going to actually be to hold and do a stand and shoot, and then countercharge with everything else. So I have that set up for his light troops here. I will say in the magic phase, my opponent stops a -1 resilience onto the Varkalak. I do get an ice and fire off on the Varkalak. Or no, I get my bounce. I can't remember. I had 2 versions of -1 resilience. I think my opponent actually stops both of them, but then an ice and fire that I am able to get off spikes, and I actually take out the Varkalak with the missile itself, which is really lucky. I was expecting to be able to combine it with the shooting of the Black Cloaks but yeah, wow, I got really lucky there. So no more Varkalak. Okay, so my opponent's turn 2. He does charge the Black Cloaks. I do a stand and shoot, but don't do anything. I can't get past that Aegis save yet. So he does do that. He doesn't really move with the Ghouls or the Barrel Guard. He puts his Spirit Hosts ready up to chaff and potentially do some countercharging. He continues to march the zombies completely all the way up. And then you can see the mistake I made here. He jumps out the Banshee, and it's exactly 8 inches away for their scream. I easily could have avoided this had I just been paying attention, so that's my fault here. In the magic phase, I stop a swarm of insects on, I think, the Obsidian Guard again, and then my opponent just doesn't do anything with the missile because he's wounding the knights on 5s because it's only a strength 9 missile, I believe, and I'm courage 10 right here with this Manticore. So that's really nice. I don't think my opponent got any other magic off this turn, or I stopped it. So the Banshee spikes on her screams. Oh my goodness. And takes out 6 Corsairs. I was like, oh crap. Luckily they passed their panic check. But wow, that was yeah. Oof, that one hurt. And in close combat, wow, the Black Cloaks kill 2 Spectral Hunters before they swing, and the Spectral Hunters whiff completely. They cannot hit the Black Cloaks and only kill 1. So my opponent has a charge and a wound. I have 2 wounds. It's an absolute push. So I choose to reform and put this model up here to get some more attacks in. Okay, so my turn 2. I start making some hasty decisions here, perhaps. I don't know, but this is what I got. So Obsidian Guard and the Corsairs charge this zombie unit, and I have it in a way so I'm keeping the Barrow Guard in the front. Everything's in the front right here. I'm hoping that the Obsidian Guard just and the Corsairs, with all the static combat res and like the amount of wounds, I'm still within 12 inches of the altar, so I do get Fury. I'm hoping to crumble this unit in 1 turn. That's the goal. And then go from there. I do pop out Buffy. She is right here. Yes, the assassin's name is Buffy, by the way. I think I stated it earlier in an earlier battle report that when I first painted this unit, her first matchup was against James's vampire, and this is when you could give the assassin's magical items. So I gave her the Death's Kiss item, and she took out one of James's vampire. So forever, she has now been deemed as Buffy. Let's see if she can take out a vampire today, though. The knights do charge the flank of the Banshee here. I think this probably could have been avoided a little bit for my opponent. I do lose 1 to dangerous terrain because I'm going through the water. Yay. Yeah, and then as you can see, the Manticore charged the flank of the Spectral Hunters. I'm hoping to just kill them before they actually get to attack or do anything. Everything else just moves up. The Corsairs move up. The Acolytes come around the side. I kind of chill with the Shadow Riders, to be honest, just because they can't, they can only go 9 inches, so their only chaffing maneuver right now would just to get in front of the ghouls. So I just kind of wanted them ready to countercharge anything in case my opponent moves up. This is kind of where I'm wishing I had a musician on them, because now, so for example, you can see my opponent's light troops chaff here. I'm not sure. No, wait. I don't think they blocked this unit. Even if they had a musician, I don't think they actually would have blocked it anyway. It has to be a scoring unit. So, yeah. Never mind. Forget that thought. But I'm kind of like, I'm hoping I blow through the zombies and then reform, and it'll be a super far charge for the Barrow Guard. So I'm forcing my opponent to then use his, use his Spirit Host to block them. That's the idea, at least. So, yeah, that's how it's looking right now. In the magic phase, I do get off +2 offense defense on the Obsidian Guard, and I get rerolls to hit on the Obsidian Guard. My opponent stops a -1 resilience on the Barrow Guard. Okay, so the Knights crumble the Banshee. Yay, so that gets me 2 points immediately for my secondary. And then this was wild. So, oh man, This is after Crumble. He gets down to 3 models. The Corsairs actually kind of disappointed me. They hit with everything. They pop all their battle focus and like everything, like Fury's going off. The Assassin's killing a bunch of zombies. Everything's dying, and then the Corsairs, like, it's their turn, and then they roll like 8 1s and 2s. I was just like, no. Which means my opponent actually lives with 3 models left, and then for insult to injury, he kills 2 Corsairs back. Um, so that was pretty rough. Uh, so now my only option at this rate, I just slide on over a little bit to get within 9 inches. So I'm forcing my opponent to actually put 3 scoring units. Um, no, no. So I'm just trying to get within 9 inches of that. Oh gosh, whatchamacallit, of the objective. But yeah, now I'm like kind of banking on losing the Obsidian Guard. The spears are certainly there to countercharge for sure. Um, but yeah, this isn't looking good. Alright, my opponent pulls the trigger here with his barrow card. He charges in. Yeah, he charges the barrow guard in. So now he's got 3 scoring units within the center. I only have the Obsidian Guard currently, but I am bottom of turn. So he's got the Obsidian Guard, and then he moves his ghouls up. The ghouls are sticking back a little bit, so the Corsairs actually do have a flank here. And so then he brings the Spirit Host to chaff the Knights from coming into the flank of anything. Zombies move up as well, right behind the Barrow Guard. Again, it's a slight mistake from my opponent, I think, to keep them so far close to the Barrow Guard. But you'll see why it's a mistake a bit later. And so in my opponent's magic phase, oh gosh. Oh, and here's a pretty critical move right here for my opponent. He puts the bats in front of the spears to prevent a countercharge. However, and I asked my opponent this, what he was trying to intend here, and he told me that he wanted the spears to have a flank on the bats. Um, so that was, yep, so he moved them in such a position. And some of you can probably see why this would be a mistake as well, moving forward. But in the magic phase, he does get off a distracting and horror on the barrow guard. I stop everything else. But yeah, so now both of our units, well, he's hitting me on 4s because of his banner, but I'm hitting him on 5s because he has parry. So even with my like offense defense 8 obsidian guard, he's he's +1 to hit, so he's hitting me better than I'm hitting him. Which is pretty funny. Also, you can see the little Medusa. She's fallen off her magnet from the wind, and the model had to go behind the wind barricade here because the wind was taking our models here. But here's where you can see how I reformed with the Manticore, and how I easily just got rid of the Spectral Hunters, which gives me another point for my secondary. And crazily, not much to report here in terms of kills. Like, we do kill a fair amount of each other, but we still have a lot of static going in on both sides. And both the obsidian, I think it ended up being a push, or I still ended up winning because my opponent really didn't roll very well against the Obsidian Guard here. And I still had and the Corsairs actually have a banner, so they had a banner and a flank. The zombies gave up their points as well, so the Corsairs could actually charge in on my turn into the flank of the Barrow Guard, just trying to add in that static combat res. And yeah, so I decided to charge the Knights into the Spirit Hosts. I mean, I know I'm charging through water, and sure enough, I take 2 more dangerous terrains, so the Knights are just they did not bring their bathing suits today. And yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm just trying to hold this unit up at this rate, from blocking any other sort of counter charges. The zombies are kind of stuck behind this barrow guard unit here, so the spears take the flank of the bats. I'm able to touch and wheel and then move down, and because the spears are so wide, you can see now I get an overrun into the flank of the ghouls if I can make it. So here I combo charge the ghouls with the Shadow Riders, the Corsairs into the flank, the Knights into the front. Yes, he does have his Ghoul Lord in there, but I don't care at this rate. I'm just going to go for it. The Manticore comes over now to actually add an additional leadership support for 12-inch. Oh gosh, so that vampire is actually only wounding me on 4s, I believe, which is helpful. So, yes, in the magic phase, I think I got off a second re-rolls to hit onto the Obsidian Guard again. My opponent does stop another -1 resilience. And I forgot what else I get. Oh, and I also get a -1 resilience off on the ghouls. This is pretty big. So, because of the bound spell. So I got rerolls to hit on the Obsidian Guard and a -1 resilience off on the ghouls. So I had 2 dice left to do the bound spell on them, which was really helpful. And the ghouls pop. It's just so much static combat res. The Ghoul Lord killed 2 knights, and the final ghoul, when the unit finally got to attack, there's only 1 ghoul left because of all the spears going in, the altar, the attacks from the Shadow Riders, the attack, like, a couple attacks from the Corsairs, but like again, the Fury bubble with all these units going into the ghouls with some -1 resilience off and then +1 to wound. It was pretty devastating, and so the unit just completely popped from static. Here I make a bit of a mistake. So the spears actually, instead of reforming, the spears needed to have overran. So I think instead of the reformed, and the reason why is because the altar actually makes them frenzied. So the spears would have been out this way. I still would have been 9 inches within the objective. My opponent would not have had a rear charge from the zombies because he was blocking his own unit here, and that was that whole second mistake that I think was pretty costly there. But the spears would have had to have overrun this way, and then, like, depending on what that situation was, if I might have decided to just overrun with everything. And when you overrun, if you can clear the unit, you just count your unit as open terrain. So we would have just all been crisscrossing all over the place, depending on how high I would have rolled. So that was a bit of a mistake on my part there. And this was wild. Oh my goodness. So I kill some barrow guard here for sure, and then Buffy, she puts 2 wounds on the vampire. Um, the unit, everyone just swings at the unit and is killing down the Obsidian Guard. But oh my goodness, this was crazy because yeah, so I lose the combat for when we calculated everything out. I lost the combat by like 2 or possibly 3. The Corsairs broke and were destroyed because they were under 25%. But the Obsidian Guard held, which is also massive. I did not expect this. So that was pretty amazing right there. Go Obsidian Guard. And then one more thing that's really massive about the moment with the Obsidian Guard is that actually wins me the objective on that at the bottom of 3. So I'm actually 1 up on the objective here. And so this, you can see my opponent's response is to move the zombies in front of the spears at this rate. Yeah, and the barrow guard are stuck there. You can also see the knights did like a total of 4 wounds. This is after crumble to the spirit hosts, but they don't lose any in return. My opponent does, in the magic phase, pull up a second unit of zombies here in front of the spears. Um, but other than that, I don't quite remember what my opponent. I think I stopped the distracting to hit onto. Yeah, I stopped the distracting on the barrel guard unit, and I think I also stopped. Oh, I think my opponent also got really unlucky and failed or um, load very rolled very low on his raises, and so I was able to actually stop the unit from regrowing as well, which is pretty crucial. Um, and Buffy takes out the vampire. Oh my goodness, I did feel very bad for my opponent because um, I was rolling to hit and I was getting the poisons through, but because I was within range 12 inches of the altar, so I get the poisons and then they also proc extra hits and I have zeal against characters. So I just got a lot of say like possibly five wounds through. My opponent even unluckily like continuing the misfortune on my opponent's side, he failed his vampiric roll in the previous turn, so the vampire did not heal, and even though he had I was AP3, so he had a 5 up, 4 up, and oh my goodness, my opponent was unable to make any of his saves, and Buffy takes out the vampire. Um, it was at this rate where I think my opponent decided to call the game. We did talk it through, however, and roll out some of the ends of the combats. The barrel guard do get the obsidian guard and Buffy, so um, there is some. So my opponent does get those points, and he does get his secondary for that. Um, as well as my opponent gets half points for the knights, and he gets full points for one unit of corsairs. Um, but at the end of that, I get my secondary as well, so we push on secondaries, and then I get the primary because my opponent I have more scoring units within the 9 inches of the battlefield than my opponent does at this rate. Um, or like I had one more point than my opponent does. So he wouldn't be able to catch me. So at that rate, my opponent just, I think he was a bit demoralized from Buffy, of course, being the vampire slayer that she is, taking out the vampire. But good game, Brian. That was a lot of fun. I think there were some crucial errors that, of course, really turned the game, and then a big moment, of course. With the obsidian guard sticking also kind of sealed the deal there. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I definitely was really just excited to be able to play a game against Brian, and just wish him all the best in his move to Erie. So everything said and done, everything calculated, it does become an 18-2 to the Dread Elves. Again, thank you so much for the game, Brian. I'm really glad we got to play at this event together. And yeah, I'm just wishing you all the best. Okay, so post-game thoughts. I think, I definitely achieved my macro approach. It was a little messy there, but ultimately I think it was, I was able to um, do what I set out to do in terms of like in terms of like potentially giving myself a chance to win the primary, to win my secondary, and to get points from my opponent there. And like I said, I was happy to go second, so I could, um, hopefully be like I could decide who's scoring the primary at the end of each turn. Um, so in the micro things, like I think, there are some pretty lucky things that kind of happened on my side for sure. Like one-shotting the Varkalak on turn one, I think was pretty lucky, just with ice and fire. I tried to set myself up for it with the Black Cloaks, but as well in combination with ice and fire. But yeah, I was able to get him just with that. I did make the mistake with the Corsairs, leaving them in scream range of the Banshee, which was not wise, because had I had more Corsairs, for example, that combo charge with the zombies, I think, would have crumbled that unit down for sure. Yeah, the Black Cloaks actually really surprised me. My opponent got a bit unlucky and just couldn't hit them with the Spectral Hunters. And they were able, like the Black Cloaks now, with their Stoic Elf profile of Strength 4 AP1 base with paired weapons and poison attacks, like they they did great. Like, good job. And then yeah, the Obsidian Guard holding in that one turn, and allowing Buffy to take out that vampire count like my opponent's general, was just, I think that was crucial, and that's of course, that ties into capitalizing on my opponent's mistake with his chaffing maneuver with the bats. And my opponent told me he's just like, I just he didn't anticipate with the spears being so wide as they are, like that being a possibility, so he didn't think about it at the time. Um, yeah, and then I made my micro mistake there with the spears needing to overrun, for future reference, because they are. I've forgotten that the damn altar makes them frenzied, um, and that's the only altar that does that. The other altar, the Yema one, does not do that. So it's just I need to remember that for future games. And yeah, here's some close-ups of Brian's just absolutely beautifully painted army. And the cool thing about this too, he was telling me about, um, his approach to painting this army, is that it was a project on speed painting, so he used predominantly, I think, speed paints and contrast paints. So he was able to really, produce this army very quickly, and just, again, just the detail on the hobbits and the barrel guard, and the basing is fantastic. The swamp effect is great. I just love it. It's and the models are so cool. Like, if you look in the back, you'll see it in another picture. These models, these are like baby ghouls. These are which is pretty cute. More close-ups of, um, the spirit hosts here and the zombies. You've got his banshee right here. Um, and yeah, some hobbits just having a drink. And the ghoul lord with his baby ghouls. Look at that guy. He looks so fierce. Nicely done, Brian. Very nicely done. Look at those. Those are fantastic. All right, so that's round one done. Thank you so much, everyone, for, um, watching and making it this far. I really appreciate it. Yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's try and get these ninth age content, out there more, because our group right now is like, I think, is struggling, given the fact that, we don't really have a solid place at the moment for gaming, since our original store is closed indefinitely. So we're just trying to do our best, keep the group alive, and hopefully these videos help. Hopefully these videos help, inspire you to, get some ninth age in, play with your group. So thanks again, Brian, for the game, and yeah, I'll catch y'all on the next one. Ciao, ciao for now, y'all.